Scooter Maven. He travels the world in search of adventure and new scooters to ride. Each week we check in with the Scooter Maven. He's been from Tokyo to Moscow and back. World leaders want to meet him, celebrities want to be him, but all he cares about are scooters. Fame, money, fortune. These are not the things a Scooter Maven cares about. He loves scooters.
Just to give you one example, I deal with suppliers from Taiwan and China that go around you. They're now selling on the internet direct to the public from Shanghai. You can buy the part for a Kimco or a Chinese scooter on eBay and bypass the dealer.
I actually had one of those manufacturer give me part for a bike that I have that ultimately it's going to benefit the distributor, but they pass the parts straight to me so I can review them right away.
Well, that's a good thing, if you mention the distributor.
Well, but you and I both know they're going to go around the distributor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they will copy your stuff. I'm not going to mention who, but one of the companies I bought, I used to sell them parts back in 2005. I sold them that year about $60,000 in parts. When I went through their warehouse after the auction, I walked in and there were my parts, and there were the copies of the parts that I designed back in 2005. So even your, competitors will copy whatever you do in this market. I'm talking about the distributor side. But it gets worse as the these guys, you know what, I'll buy your stuff, but I want to talk to the general manager. I can't support a brand that does this, that's selling parts direct to the public. Half the companies, some of the Chinese companies here are selling parts direct to the public. The dealer is about service, it's about parts. If you kill that source of income, you're making the dealer into a place where people buy the part online and just go there to install it. That's why when yesterday the dealer mentioned that, Josh talked about it again, he said, I charge them more. Yeah, charge them more. You're not a service center, you're a dealership, you're a destination point. Anyways, TNG service dealers. Half the TNG dealers went out of business. I know I lost them. So what are you saying up here? Stretching. I lost about 300 dealers in 2 years. I mentioned that when I started importing Malaguti scooters, of the 150 dealers I set up when I was 22 years old, and I met every single one of them face to face. I visited their stores. I traveled around the country. Of those 100, about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 22 are still in business. 18 still buy from me, which is good. It's a good ratio. I hate the fact that the rest lost the market because it's been a roller coaster. And I think it's closed is because 70% of those dealers would turn away business. I've been inside shops when somebody brings a Kimco in and asks, hey, can you get me parts from this Kimco? Says no. We don't service Chinese junk. And I'm like, okay, well that was actually Taiwanese, but I'm not going to correct them because I'm trying to sell them something. But so okay. And that's actually a bad trend I see. A lot of Honda dealers, a lot of Yamaha dealers, they're notorious for this. We don't service Vespa. Or Vespa dealers. We don't service the Chinese junk. Guess what? You're basically building up your competition. In this market, if you do that, you're setting up the guy that's working from home. That mechanic that just lost his job, he's advertising at Craig's around town and repairing people's bikes at home. I know it sounds crazy. It's happening in every market. I don't know a market that's not happening in. And last year at the dealership, I must have had 20 people come to my booth and say, hey, I'm thinking of starting a drop shipping company from my house. My wife and I, we're going to answer the phone and sell parts. And, we got signed up with that company, with that Chinese parts company. Can we get signed up an account with you? It doesn't work. Store is the place where you should get service. Somebody is licensed, insured, has a mechanic that knows a lot more than I do about mechanics, and has overhead, has a place of business, is accountable for the installation. You can hold the mechanic accountable. Sir, I'm trusting you with my life to install this tire properly. That's accountability, and that's something we need to have. So, don't turn away that business. If I can't sell you the parts, somebody else can. World of Power Sports, you can buy Honda parts there, Yamaha, you know some of them, right? Who else? But you find parts all over the world, right?
Oh yeah, but I deal with funky stuff.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, the funky stuff is out there too. When you only have margin on the product, 20% margin on the product you're selling, you need that service. You need those parts. That is money. And when you're buying those used bikes at the auction or a deal with the tow truck company, they buy the pickups from the tow trucks. Have you ever bought in Gainesville the tow trucks? The tow trucks?
Not really.
No, but that's a good source. A lady here yesterday mentioned the pawn shop. The pawn shops get scooters all the time. If you can buy a scooter for $200, do it. Because then you can sell that for $6.99. It's just like that.
Hey, you know why I really don't? It's because I just get them from the students for even cheaper.
Oh, really?
You know, I
Hear this. We need to hear. This is about money. Okay? We're not here to love scooters. We're here to make money. So.
Well, what I was gonna say was, you know, we're in a college community, but I see these kids who